I used to think I was just bad at focusing. Like I'd sit down to work, fully planning to lock in for the next few hours. And then 10 minutes later, I'm checking something on my phone. I'm opening a random tab. I'm changing the music. Sometimes I literally just get up and walk around for no reason. And I know I'm not the only one who does this, because focusing for 10 minutes usually isn't that hard. It's what happens after those 10 minutes that gets you. That's when your brain starts going, okay, can we do something else now? And I think there's a pretty simple reason for this. Your brain has learned that whenever something gets even a little uncomfortable, you can leave. Think about what happens when you're working and you get stuck on something. Maybe you don't know how to solve a question. Maybe you're writing something and you don't know what to say next. Or maybe the work just starts feeling harder than it did a few minutes ago. That tiny bit of discomfort shows up, and almost immediately you want to escape. So you check your phone, you open YouTube, maybe you convince yourself you need a snack. And the second you do that, the uncomfortable feeling goes away, which teaches your brain one thing. When this gets hard, I can leave. And if you keep doing that, eventually it becomes almost automatic. You don't even decide to check your phone anymore. You just kind of end up on it. And I think this is where a lot of focus advice gets it wrong. Because people will tell you to use a timer, put on focus music, make the perfect schedule, clean your desk, become some sort of minimalist so that you can focus all your efforts on the work you're doing. And sure, some of that can help, but none of it really matters if every time your work gets difficult, you immediately leave. Because the hardest part of focusing isn't sitting at your desk. It's staying there when you don't feel like staying anymore. That's the part you actually need to practice. So I started doing something really simple. Whenever I felt that urge to stop working, I stopped treating it like an order, because that's what I used to do. My brain would go, check your phone, and I'd basically be like, okay, but you don't actually have to listen to that feeling. You can notice it and keep working anyways, even if it's just for another 2 minutes. And that sounds really small, but that's kind of the point. If you can currently focus for 10 minutes, trying to suddenly work for 3 hours probably isn't going to end well. That's basically like going to the gym for the first time and trying to lift the heaviest weight there. You're just not going to be able to do it. Instead, if your brain wants to quit after 10 minutes, try staying for 11, then maybe 12, then 15, and slowly you're proving to yourself that wanting to stop doesn't mean you have to stop. And there's one thing that helped me a lot. I stopped expecting myself to feel focused the entire time I was working. Because I don't, even now. There are moments when I'm completely locked in, and there are moments when my brain is completely somewhere else. That doesn't mean the focus session is over. That's the important thing to realize. I just noticed that my brain is wandering and I come back. I might lose focus again, but I come back. And that's basically what focusing is. I used to think good focus meant your mind never wandered. Now I think it's more about how quickly you notice when it starts wandering, and whether you come back or let that distraction pull you somewhere else completely. Now obviously your phone can make all of this so much harder. So when I actually need to get something done, I try to make distracting myself slightly more annoying. Let me explain. I don't make it impossible, I make it annoying. I'll put my phone somewhere I can't reach when I'm sitting down, maybe at the end of the room in a drawer or something like that. And then I start my work. Because when my brain eventually goes, hey, let's check Instagram, let's check YouTube, let's check notifications, I want there to be enough effort involved that I have a second to realize, wait a second, why am I doing this? Why am I breaking up my focus session just to go and check my phone? Sometimes that 1 second is all I need in order to go back to what I was doing and realize my mistake. If you make it too easy to reach your phone, it's going to become a habit. So we put the phone too far away to make it annoying so it can't become a habit. If you watch my videos on boredom, this is basically the next step to those videos. Getting more comfortable with boredom helps you stop needing something to entertain you every second. I made a completely free 7-day boredom challenge if you want to check it out. It's one small challenge every day for 7 days that helps you get more comfortable without constantly needing something to do. I'll leave it at the top of the description if you want to try it. Once you learn to get comfortable with boredom, you can actually use that ability when you sit down to work. When the work gets slow, when you get stuck, when you suddenly realize you want to really check your phone, you'll learn to stay for a little bit longer and accept that feeling of being stuck, being bored. But for focusing itself, I wouldn't worry about getting to 3 hours yet. Honestly, don't even worry about getting to 1 hour. Figure out where you are right now. If it's 10 minutes, cool. Tomorrow, try 11. And when your brain tells you to stop, stay. Not forever, but for a little bit longer than you did yesterday. Because you might not be someone who can't focus. Maybe you've just gotten really good at quitting the second focusing gets hard. And if that's something you've learned, you can definitely learn the opposite.